One was maybe you're more ready than you think you are, and another was don't let fear keep you paralyzed.
Oh my goodness, they're so good.
I know, right? So good. And they were just things that people that close to me have told me within, different conversations and things like that. And it just kind of hit home in those specific moments. And I'm like, wow, that's really good. Very deep, super simple, but very deep and so good.
Yes. Hey friend, my name is Shira Rodriguez and I am a Jesus follower, a writer, entrepreneur, and lover of all things boho and books. In this podcast, I want to take you on a journey of discovering yourself, of discovering God, and of discovering your passions and how to make your life beautiful and so full that it overflows into the lives of others. And over here, we're not about compartmentalizing life. Oh no, over here we talk about how to holistically take your life and present it as a place where others can be blessed just by knowing you. Are you excited? I am, so let's jump in. Hey friends, how are you all? I know it hasn't been a very long time since you last heard from me, but hey, it's nice to chat with you guys again. This week has been fairly quiet with an occasional visit to a friend's house, a church event, and some lovely chats with some old and new friends. After the Valley of the Shadow, these green pastures have been a very welcome change. As I was editing and listening to the episode you're about to hear in just a sec, I felt so refreshed. I had recorded this interview with my lovely friend Karina about 3 weeks ago before all this craziness happened. I'd planned to focus on the topic of finding joy in hard times, but I had no idea how relevant this would be for me now. I can honestly say that it was such a balm to my soul, so refreshing and so good. Okay, but before you listen to our conversation together, I have to introduce you to this amazing young woman I get to call my friend. If you were to walk through the doors of my church, I can guarantee you that one of the first faces you'll see is that of a girl in a wheelchair with one of the biggest, most beautiful smiles you have ever seen. Also, she is 1,000% going to hype you up to attend to some church event or serve somewhere. Seriously. Karina has a condition known as Spina Bifida, yet that has never stopped her from exuding the most contagious joy and love for others. So I decided to ask her to come on the podcast so she could share her secret with us. I'm so excited for you to listen to this and be just as inspired as I was. Hey friend, would you just take a moment to review this podcast? This helps other amazing listeners find this podcast. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, and thanks so much for tuning in. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show. All right, Karina, welcome to the podcast, and I am so glad that you could make it on.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. Now, for those of you who are listening, this girl is incredible. She's always got a smile on her face. She's one of my very favorite people at church. And honestly, even though the first time that I met her, I was absolutely blown away by how she has the biggest smile and the most contagious joy. She can be in a room and she brightens everybody's day. But Karina, I would love to hear, because I have not even heard it that much. What's your story and how have you seen the Lord work through your life?
Wow, that is probably a question that would keep us here all day long. Really, there's countless ways. But one is really just my existence in general. I have a birth defect called spina bifida. And basically what that is, it's where the neural tubes of the spine don't close all the way. So the backbone that protects the spinal cord ends up being exposed and doesn't form completely, causing the back to not close completely. And that causes paralysis and all of those things. You're typically supposed to have surgery to have that fixed and closed within the first 24 hours of life. And I didn't have my surgery until I was 5 days old. So just me being here 25 years later is a miracle in itself,
That's
and
incredible.
a way that the Lord has really just worked in my life. So yeah, that's probably like the biggest thing.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That is amazing that you're even, that you're here and that you can do things, so many things. Like, she is like a face that you will always see somewhere around the church in some event. So, oh girl, but something that really struck me when I met you the first time was I would go through church and everything, and there were so many people that they had money and a spouse or a healthy body or a whole bunch of things that you would think, oh, well, that should totally make anybody happy. But they have not even a fraction of your smile. Why do you think that there are so many people that are in depression and anxiety and they aren't as happy as you, and they have so many things that should make them happy and yet don't? What's your secret?
Jesus, really.
I love that.
My walk with the Lord and my relationship with the Lord is something that's always been near and dear to my heart, super important to me, and it keeps me grounded, but also having a support system and just people around me that keep me grounded and remind me of what he's done in my life. And so
I
that's
love that.
definitely something.
I love that. And where have you found like these kinds of support systems?
My family, my friends,
I love
my
that.
church family. Ugh, gosh, so many people.
Because I know there's a lot of people that they're like, oh, I don't have friends, or oh, I don't have like a community. What would be some advice that you would give somebody like that? They don't have a community. Where would you go to find them?
I have definitely found that within my church family for
I
sure.
love that. Yes.
Within, and not just the church, my church family in general, but also within the different areas of the church and where I serve, and
Yes.
the
They're
different ministries
amazing.
that I'm involved in.
They really are amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And what about those days where, we all have those days where things are just not going right, whether it's just from a bad hair day to just a bad day at work or things like that. Karina, what are some things that you do when things are just not going right?
Ugh.
And how do you lift yourself out of that disappointment and frustration?
Oh wow. I love to write, so definitely
Yes.
writing. I'm not consistent at it as I should be, but it's something that I love, and that's definitely one thing that I turn to in those moments, and as well as I'm a huge music person. As you said in the beginning, I sing in our church choir, and so turning to music is something else that I do, as well as really trying to turn and reach out to somebody and be like, hey, this is what's going on, and
Yeah.
so those are three huge things that I would always turn to.
I absolutely love that. And you told me one time that you did a lot of like journaling. So what's your process for like journaling sometimes?
It depends on what I feel like I should be writing in that moment. Sometimes I don't have anything off the top of my head that I want to write about something. Sometimes I do. So it just kind of depends on the day and like the mood I'm in. But typically I always end up with something.
I love that.
It can be super random, but I always end up being able to write something.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially I feel like in those moments where you have a lot of emotions and you can't really sort through them.
Oh, absolutely. For
It's
me,
the best.
those are the best because I just write it all out, even if it doesn't make sense to me in the moment. I go back and read it later, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what was going on in that moment.
Yes, I totally want to make that a habit for myself. I'm like, oh, I want to
Oh
get into
yeah.
journaling. So, how has faith played a role for you, Karina, in finding peace and joy in the middle of difficult times, but also in good times?
Uh, whoa, it's been everything for me. I grew up in church and all of that, and so faith has just kind of always been something that's been a part of my life. But
Right.
as I've gotten older, it's been something that I've made my own
Yes.
and kind of like sought out for myself. And
I love that. And something I was really curious was, what is like the best piece of advice that you've been given?
oh wow.
I remember we talked about this before, and she was like, it's gonna take me a while because there's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah, and actually, I was thinking about it within the last few days, and I have two
Ooh.
that I kind of thought about, and I was like, okay, I could probably share those. One was maybe you're more ready than you think you are, and another was don't let fear keep you paralyzed.
Oh my goodness, they're so good.
I know, right? They're so good. And they were just things that people that close to me have told me within, different conversations and things like that. And it just kind of hit home in those specific moments. I'm like, wow, that's really good. Very
Wow.
deep, super simple, but very deep and so good.
Yes. Oh wow, that's so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
because so many times we stop ourselves from doing things because we're so afraid that either we'll fail or that it won't come out perfectly. So many times I've found out that even sometimes reaching out to people, I'm like, should I speak to this person? Should I not? Should I? Are they going to think it's a bother? And so many times we lose out on opportunities to speak to people who need us to speak out at certain moments, or even like reaching out to someone, hey, can I pray for you or something like that. It sometimes can be really scary, but God works through those risks, those calculated risks, when we take that jump, that leap, and he turns it into something beautiful. He really does.
Oh, absolutely. He really, really does. And you end up being so surprised at the end of it because you're like, oh, I didn't expect it to go that way?
Yes, no kidding.
So I love Priscilla Schreier. She's one that I absolutely love. Absolutely amazing.
God
Uh,
bless that woman.
oh yeah. Because she's incredible. She really is incredible. So some books that I read from her are Fervent, and then also Discerning the Voice of God, How to Recognize When God is Speaking,
That.
which were absolutely incredible, both absolutely incredible books. Another one is Jenny Allen. I've read two of her books.
She's
One,
so good.
oh yeah.
I did like a Bible study thing
Okay.
on, I think it was like the Holy Bible app or the Bible app.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so good. I have to read the book. I really want to read the book. I think it was Get Out of Your Head, but she did like a
Yes.
mini Bible study version.
Yeah, I think she has a lot of studies, like Bible studies that go along with her books. Because I've seen like her books, and then like I've seen like studies of her books and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
she's really good too.
Yes. Which were the
Um,
books that you read from her?
I read Find Your People and Get Out of Your Head.
Oh,
Those
so
are
good.
two that I've read from her, and so good. I
Oh my goodness.
absolutely loved.
Yes, I just read a little bit from the devotionals and they were so good. I was so blessed.
Can I share a secret with you? I've never actually finished a Read the Bible in a Year plan. Seriously, it has always been so hard for me to keep on track because I get so distracted by all the other wonderful verses in the Bible, especially when I hit the book of Deuteronomy. I don't know if you can relate. However, I actually started a Read the Bible in a Year plan, I believe, last year, and have actually gotten all the way to 1 Kings, which for me is crazy. The thing I did differently was to listen to the Bible in audio form using the Dwell app. If you've followed me on Instagram for some time, you know I love the Dwell app. It allows you to listen to the Bible in audio form with customizable voices, versions, and background music or sounds. They also have, this is probably my favorite part, audio playlists of Bible verses put together, especially for topics like peaceful sleep and anxiety. I cannot recommend this app highly enough. You can get a 7-day free trial today by clicking the link in the show notes below. Definitely try it out. You won't regret it.
Yes, definitely.
What
What were
else?
some other either types of music or speakers or books that you had on your list?
Oh goodness. I have like so many more.
Oh, bring it
I
on.
I've read also I've read Soul Care, which is amazing by Dr. Rob Reamer.
I
Uh,
haven't heard that one.
it's so good.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
somebody had suggested it to me, and then I got it. I was like, ooh,
Oh, wow.
very, very good book.
Added to my to be read list.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's very lengthy, but it's super good because it has so much into each chapter and such. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Gosh, I could go on. So many of them. so many, but
I love
those are just
that.
to name a few.
Yes, honestly, they are so good. Well, okay, so here are some questions that I love to ask each guest who comes on the podcast. And this is actually one of my favorite parts because every single person who comes on the podcast, they have such great answers. Every single person. And I'm like, wow, I did not know that so much insight could be gleaned by these key questions. And I love it. And they always build me up and challenge me to be a better person. And hopefully, to you guys who are listening, it totally challenges you guys to adapt new habits and new ways of living, giving, and repeating. So, for our first question, how, Karina, do you live?
So, I mean, like this conversation has gone through. I've mentioned, I love reading, I love writing, listening to music.
Yes.
I also love finding like new shows to watch and stuff. So like new
Yes,
show
totally.
suggestions are always a thing for me. Music suggestions, always a thing for me. I'm not much of an outdoors person, but every so often I will go outside and just kind of hang out outside, and it's really nice. Although not in the middle of summer because
Oh, yes.
Florida people.
Totally, totally.
But and just connecting with old friends is another thing.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. It's so nice to talk with old friends and things like
Oh,
that. Catch up. Especially those people who have been with you for a really, really long time.
absolutely. It's really awesome.
Yes, it's just life-giving. I love that.
Oh,
Also, you
for sure.
mentioned previously that you really like baking as well.
I do. I do. I kind of got into baking. I want to say it started like over COVID.
No way. I didn't know
And
that.
so, yeah, like it was like a thing. Like I haven't been doing it for that long. But like every so often I'll like bake out of nowhere. I'll be like, "Oh, I want to bake today. Let's do it." So, and that's really fun for me. So, that's something that I definitely do enjoy for sure.
I love that so, so much. And that's, of course, in addition to like the writing and the journaling and the reading, which are also just fantastic ways to just enjoy life. And honestly, they make me feel glad to be alive as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what's another one? So how do you give, Karina? What are some ways that you bless and fill others? I love this one because everybody always has a different way of showing love to other people. There's just so many different ways, and I love it. I'm curious about yours.
Ooh. I love spending time with friends whenever I get the chance, because being adults, life is so busy and just so
Yeah.
crazy that it's hard to find that time. But when the time is able to be found, it's really fun to be able to spend time with friends. I also love to write little encouraging texts to my friends every so often.
That's such a good
Some I
idea.
write to daily, some I write to every few days or every few weeks, but that and I love serving at my church. That is something that always fills me up, always makes me happy,
Yeah, I can
always
tell.
brings me life. Yeah, and it's such joy. So those are just to name a few. Yeah.
I love that. And actually, that's such a good idea to just send random encouraging notes to people in text, not even for them to answer back. You're just like, oh, I'm just going to send you some encouraging words for today because I know that you'll probably need them.
Right. It's like, oh, a little I'm thinking of you. I hope your week is going well, and that sort of thing is always something that I love to do.
It's always needed.
Oh, absolutely agreed.
I love that. And our last question, Karina. So, how do you repeat? What are some habits that you've implemented or are trying to implement to help you create a beautiful and balanced lifestyle?
So I have been trying in the last little while, I've been trying to get to bed at a decent time. It doesn't always work out that way,
Oh, girl, the struggle
but
is real.
the struggle is real for sure.
It is.
Um, but getting to bed like at a decent time to be able to just like sit and have some quiet time, do some writing, some reading,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. And, again, not always consistent at it or good at it, but I do make the time for it
I
uh,
love that.
when I'm able to. And then writing things down on a planner.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Yes. I
That's
need my like to-do list and my planner to keep my brain in order because
it is so hard to keep everything in your brain. And
Oh,
then when you put
yeah.
it down on paper and you actually see, okay, what do I actually have time for and what do I actually not have time for?
Exactly. And I think for me, I just recently started doing that a few months ago because before I used to have it like all in my planner and I'm like a need to know kind of a person.
Yeah.
So like I need to know things ahead of time
Yes,
and be
totally.
able to see it and be like, okay, this is what I got coming up this week. This is what I got coming up this day. And I think for me, instead of having it on my phone,
That helps. Yes.
having it on an actual like planner and like seeing it actually written out has been huge for me. Because I can look at an entire week at a time or even at an entire month at a time and be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, it's this month and I got this, and this, or so and so's birthday's this day, so and so's birthday's that day. I
Yes.
have this church activity this day and I have this that day. And it's just, it's made life so much easier, honestly.
Totally.
So much easier. Like, so much easier. So that's been a huge habit that I've been implementing into my life
I
recently.
love that so much. Yes.
So,
Also, I think you mentioned when we were talking before, you mentioned something about like having quiet time, like actually making time for quiet time.
oh yeah. Yeah. I'm very much a night owl, so staying up
Yes.
late and having those little quiet moments where everybody's in bed, nobody's making any noise, everything's calm and quiet, and just me sitting there with whether it's a devotional or just like my journal and just sitting there writing or reading a good book because I have like 5 different books on my nightstand right now.
Oh my goodness.
And like I literally finish one and I pick up another and
I love it.
I keep going. And so just having those little late night moments is really fulfilling and so great for me.
Yes,
For
totally.
sure.
Especially when it's so noisy, like nowadays, in the sense, not noisy, not like in your place, but like all the stuff, all the distractions from
All of the things of the
Instagram
world.
notifications to,
Oh,
alarms that you have on your phone, just being able to take some time to be quiet and even in prayer and things like that, to have that quiet time and just allow the Lord to work in that silence to fill it up, that we're not filling all those chinks up.
absolutely. It's not like we're filling it with stuff. We're just being there in the moment, quiet, listening
Exactly.
for the Lord to speak and just being filled by that is really amazing and
I
so
love that.
encouraging.
I love that so, so much. Well, Karina, thank you so, so much for being here and for chatting with me about this. I am so grateful to have you in my life, and I'm so grateful to have you on.
It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited.
Me
I'm
too.
so grateful for this opportunity and just super proud of you and this
Aw.
journey that you're on now and doing this and connecting with so many amazing people. So thanks
Oh,
for
thank you.
having me.
No, thank you. And thank you so much for your words. They are very much appreciated. Love you, girl.
Absolutely.
And
I
I
love
hope you
you.
have an amazing day.
What a blessing it was to have Karina on and for me to be able to listen to that conversation once again. I hope that you have been as inspired as I was and am every time I see her. Also, I just quickly wanted to explain why I started laughing when she talked about writing because as I was going through this chat, I realized that it probably sounded a little weird and didn't make sense. The reason is that we try to keep each other accountable on our writing and often encourage each other to take risks and grow. So there's the backstory to that whole portion about writing. So definitely find yourself someone who can keep you accountable with your dreams and goals, whether it's fitness, writing, or even your spiritual life. Staying in community, like Karina said, really helps you grow and stay supported. If you'd like to connect with Karina, you can do so by following her on Instagram. The link is in the description below. I hope you've been as inspired as I was, and until next time, continue to live, give, and repeat. Yay! You did it! I'm giving you a huge virtual high five because you just finished another episode of the Live, Give, Repeat podcast. If you'd like to learn more about or connect with us, head over to our website where you can find resources, blog posts, and more.
Also, check out our Instagram page for more inspirational content and join our email list for insider secrets. The links are in the description box below. I can't wait to see you there, friends. Until next time.